Lots of different types of car made all over the world which aren't offered for sale in Britain. So tonight we thought it would be a good idea to have a bit of a snout around to see if any of them are any good.
This funny-looking little thing is the Nissan Cube, and it's the best-selling car in Japan.
The trouble is that stuff which goes down well in Japan won't necessarily work here in Britain. I mean, there are vending machines on the streets of Tokyo where you can buy dirty knickers.
I think the first of many problems this car might have if it were to come over here is the way it looks.
You see, a Ferrari is aggressive and beautiful, so it covers the two most important bases in car design, sex and violence. Doesn't matter whether it's a Ferrari or a Ford, that's what we want. Something which excites the ancient part of our brain, something that makes us a little bit frightened.
This isn't frightening at all, and that's because it's as square as Sophie Ellis Bextor's head. The square simply isn't a frightening shape. Square is not a frightening concept. A house, square, not scary. Cheese, square, not scary. And then there's this place. Tunbridge Wells. The cube seemed to fit right in here with its mild blue rinse and its chocolate box cuckoo clock looks.
There is one thing to be said for the cube's styling. If you don't like it from this side, you perhaps think this pillar's a bit thick and heavy and you don't like these vents, simply look at it from the other side, where we find a window instead of the pillar and no vents at all. This is the first car I've ever come across that's different on one side than the other. Apart from the Rover 800, of course, though that was different by accident. They just didn't build it properly.
So, what about power? Well, underneath the lopsided body, it's actually a Nissan Micra. That means you get a not-at-all scary 1.4-litre engine, which results in a relaxing 0 to 60 time of 13 seconds and a soothing top speed of 103.
Actually, I'm lying. It isn't soothing at all. It's very noisy, and it's got the worst automatic gearbox ever in the whole world. Every time it changes down, it's like you've been hit up the back by an articulated lorry. And it's got an overdrive. I haven't seen one of those for 40 years. Welcome back to the 70s with the smooth sound of the Nissan Cube.
You can have the Cube with a CVT gearbox, but that's not really to be recommended.
If you go for one of those, it'll sound like they're filming an episode of Bonanza under the bonnet. There's a corner, and that brings me on to the second worst thing about the driving experience. Turn the wheel and you have no sense that it's actually connected to the tyres in any way.
As a car, then, as a machine for stirring your soul and titivating your primeval instincts, the Cube is absolutely hopeless. But as a tool, well, that's a slightly different story. It is very cheap. The price for the base model is just £8,500, which isn't bad when you bear in mind that it comes with air conditioning and power steering and a stereo, and a lot of space.
For such a small car, it really does have an enormous boot. And you can make it bigger still by pulling the rear seat forwards or by folding it away altogether. In the front, there are so many cubby holes, it's difficult to know how you might fill them all. I mean, you've got a glove box here, obviously, and then another glove box here for the other glove. Then there's a sort of slot here and pockets in the doors. And then if we pull the bench seat down, we find a slot here for my char-grilled chicken with chestnut and sage sauce. Underneath that, we've got another one for tinned salmon and scissors. Drinks, no problem. Cup holder here, another one here, and two more down here. They really have thought of everything. I mean, when you put the key in the ignition, for instance, it beeps to tell you you've just done that. And then, when you put it into reverse, there's a new beep to say you've just put it in reverse. And then when you turn the engine off, another beep. Isn't that marvellous?
There is one thing missing, however. You get no beep or buzzer to remind you as you drive along that you look like a complete Burke. All you really need to know about this car is that if you've got a black and white cat and your name's Pat, it is available in red.
So is that really the best-selling car in Japan?
Yep, nation of postmen, I think.
Yeah, it would seem so. But if you're a postman over here and you want one, you could presumably import one.
Absolutely. There's a company will bring one over, cost you here, would cost you after the shipping costs and tax and so on, between £11,000 or £12,000. Or you can have one with an electric motor in the back to make it four-wheel drive.
Why? What are you going to do with that?
Couldn't take it shooting, really, because the pheasants would just die laughing.
Yeah. Well, that might be a good thing. So if you did bring one over, you're going to have to get it serviced and all that sort of stuff. So is that going to be possible?
It is, actually. I rang up a Nissan dealer this week to find out whether they could actually do this, and they said, probably not the four-wheel drive one. But the guy said, oh, a Cube, never had one of those, but I'll give it a go.
That's sporting.
Right, so can you do my daughter's eye operation? Yeah, I'll give that a go as well. Why not?